So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. And right now, we're on our next panel discussion, which is on the theme social media marketing in 2020, how the industry intelligence, competitive intelligence, and brand intelligence can form a bulletproof social marketing plan. Well, ladies and gentlemen, for this, we've got our panelists. First up, Mr. Prasoon Kumar, CMO, MagicBricks.com. Well, Prasoon is a seasoned marketing professional, brand expert, blogger, technology enthusiast, and entrepreneurial at heart with over 20 years of experience across internet, real estate, retail, telecom, and advertising industries. We also have Mr. Ratik Pathak, Head Social Media, HDFC Securities Limited. Ratik is a tech-savvy marketing professional with hands-on experience in digital marketing, account, campaign management, and performance marketing. We also have Mr. Lakshman Vela Yutham, the CMO of Ujjivan Small Finance Bank Limited. Well, Lakshman is a senior marketing leader proficient in brand and marketing strategy with over 25 years of work experience across banking, telecom, retail, and logistics. Also, we're joined by Mr. Abhishek Gupta, CMO, Edelweiss Tokyo Life Insurance Company Limited. Abhishek, experienced Chief Marketing Officer with demonstrated history of over 2 decades of working in the BFSI and retailing industry. And ladies and gentlemen, we also have Mr. Sanket Raina, Head Digital Marketing and Consumer Strategy, Aviva India. While Sanket describes his role simply as being customer's best friend, his work consequently involves helping every aspect of business making a positive consumer outcome, the customer being taken care at the center of all decision making. And ladies and gentlemen, the entire panel discussion is going to be moderated by Mr. Avinash Tanjire, the Vice President, Marketing, Thomas Cook India Limited. Well, Avinash, being the marketing and brand professional with over 20 years of experience across various industries like the financial services, fabrics, media, services, retail, leading ad agencies, and recently travel. Well, with this, ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to pass on the live baton to our eminent panelists. Firstly, thank you so much for joining us on behalf of Kamikaze B2B Media. I welcome you all once again. And with this, I now pass it on in the able hands of our moderator, Avinash, to take it forward.
Thank you, Bhavna. Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. And I welcome you all to the second edition of Digicom Leadership Summit. As I said, I look after marketing at Thomas Cook, and I have a great bunch of marketeers here. Most importantly, for completely diverse fields. I mean, what I really liked about it, I am looking forward to this dialogue myself, because I think social media, the landscape is completely changed. Digital landscape is completely changed in times of COVID, and I would really like to learn and borrow myself, and I'm sure all our viewers will be able to learn and borrow from the perspectives of completely different categories. That is what I like about this panel, because we have somebody from financial services background, somebody from the tech space, we have again insurance, and then banking space as well. So without further ado, we'll begin. The panels are all introduced as such. I would like to with the background that I think, as I said earlier, I think the landscape is completely changed in 2020. I think the pandemic and the lockdown that followed, people started they actually didn't have much more of an option and spent in unlimited amount of time. Some of the data that I've seen is people spend as high as 25% of their waking time on smartphones and internet. And one of the statistics also said, out of the 25% of that waking time, people are spending as high as 2.5 hours only on social media. That's insane amount of time only on social media. So at the other end, it actually presents a great opportunity for marketers like us, because we have such a huge audience to reach out to, and plus social media, because it is so to a certain extent matured in such a way, it gives us so many tools to sharply target audience as against what we used to do earlier in the ATL space, where it was almost like a spray painting scenario. So I would like to begin with the saying while it is great at one end, it is giving us the opportunity. I personally, and I've gone through this journey over a period of time, I'm not too sure if all brands actually manage to use social to the best of their abilities, and which is why I think the perspective from all of you will help. And I would like to start by the question about how do we create, because what I've also realized over a period of time, social media can do multiple things. You can use it to reach out to a large set of audience, so you reach and awareness can be one of the objectives. It offers a great platform to engage and build a large community of consumers and engage with them on an ongoing basis. Hopefully at some point of time they will buy from you, and some brands actually do a mix of both, and this will vary from brand to brand, category to category. So my first question is, how important is it, most importantly, to have a sharply defined KPI, whether it is engagement, whether it is awareness reach, whether it is managing ORM, whatever, how important it is, and how do we go about that? So maybe I'll throw this up to Prasoon, if you want to take it up. How do you do this at Magic Brick, with some real life examples, if you can say so?
Sure. Thanks a lot, Avinash. Hi to all the panelists and everyone who's watching this. Avinash, as you rightly said, social media, if you just look at the statistics around it, that itself makes it such a potent channel for every business and marketer to look at, right? So apart from time spent and other data that you have shared, just two things that come to my mind. One is scale. In India, there are more than 400 million plus social media users. The impact of it. I mean, we have been seeing news related to social media platforms day in and day out in recent times. So that just tells you how important it has become in overall scheme of things. So in that light, to the question that you have asked, I see social media, in a way is all of everything that you have said, right? So it's not only about awareness. It's probably the only medium which can deliver you right from top funnel metrics of awareness and consideration to going down to the bottom funnel metrics of conversions and revenue. So it kind of straddles the entire funnel. And that's what makes this medium very, very potent and attractive as well. So just to give you some example, yes, awareness and brand launch and campaign launch and everything is important. How does one use it? I think social media, because of COVID and the aftermath of COVID, has become equal to brand visibility in some ways, right? So often the first experience of a consumer with a brand is now happening through social media. And that's the importance of it. And unfortunately, I don't think most of the businesses understand that and realize that. Just one small example at Magic Bricks, being in the category that we are in property space, we saw a very interesting trend. So when COVID happened and the lockdown happened, one is social already contributed to a significant chunk of our traffic anyway. But we saw a clear shift in intent of the user on social. So, a whole lot of people who were looking at very seriously at buying, selling properties, etc. They were seeking content which was slightly softer content, light-hearted content, bordering on entertainment, so on and so forth. Nobody was, really looking at, very serious content at that point of time because the considerations had moved, right? So as a brand, what could one have done? It immediately meant that it had impacted our traffic. So we immediately changed our narrative. We changed our narrative to engaging with consumers and talking to them through these kind of meaningful content, and that helped us regain our traffic within 3 weeks itself. So it's very interesting, how social media plays a role across the funnel, and as a marketer and as a business leader, probably you can use it for different objectives across the funnel.
So essentially, you're saying it will be fluid for you. It is fluid at most of the times, and depending on you, you have to be really nimble and flexible, and have to adapt to it.
Exactly, Avinash.
Fair enough. Sanket, would you want to give a stab at it? How you manage it at Aviva?
Sure. Not just Aviva. I'll probably talk about it in a more generic sense. Prasoon is very cogently placed it across the entire funnel, and that's where I believe actually the problem starts, because social media is then assumed to be doing everything for everyone, and it's going down right from there. I think every campaign, every initiative needs to have a very single-minded focus on the primary KPI it is supposed to drive. So, for example, whether it's awareness, whether it's lead generation, whether it's influencing the lead at any stage, or improving the image of your brand, or probably giving your brand communication a different medium through an influencer altogether. that KPI has to be very sharply defined, and the entire focus of the campaign and the surround, because social media generally has a lot of surround about it. So all that surround has to be defined and put together to support that primary KPI. If you're going for awareness, then of course, yes, there are certain leads you would also get, and those leads may also convert to a certain amount of business. But then that is never your focus. And that is also the conversation that should not happen till the time you finish the campaign and look at the results. So, social media, I think, of course, it lends itself to different forms because you've got different channels, and different channels can have their specific properties, and they can support you or take away from your campaign in a different manner. So, like Prasoon mentioned, for example, post COVID, a lot of people look for entertainment, and that's something you also mentioned. In case of insurance, a lot of people started coming to social media to seek support because for a while there was nothing working and everything was shut. So instantly we saw a lot of people coming to find out information, looking for support, looking for assurance, looking for help, that how are things going to function going forward in social media. So sort of a quasi customer services was the role that social media took on for us as well. So that's how it shaped for us. But again, to the original question, yes, the campaign KPI, sacrosanct, it does not matter. There's no KPI which is more important than the other. It's just that whatever is the primary delivery that you're looking at, just focus on that. Keep at it. No matter whatever secondary KPIs you are able to deliver, not able to deliver, it does not matter. Your money was not intended to be spent for that anyways.
So if I'm understanding what you as a takeaway, and I'm sort of getting differing points of view, where Prasoon said it is fluid, it is flexible, and it will have to be really nimble and adapt to changing times. Whereas you're saying at one point of time focus on one single. You're not saying that that should be the only one, but that it is important to have a very single-minded focus on one single KPI. Because I understand where you're coming from, because depending on what you aim for, your whole content strategy or the content plan, and it is not be advertising as well, but even organic content will actually come from what you actually set as a KPI. So it's good to see that we are getting different points of view, because obviously we should have a healthy debate about it, and I don't think there is any right or wrong answer, and obviously it will change from brand to brand and category to category. So moving on, and my second question is actually almost as an follow up to that particular. Once you've set a KPI for yourself, whether it is one or multiple KPIs, how do you go about measuring them? What are the kind of tools or processes that you've set? Because I'm again coming from my own personal journey, and I'm sure I see a lot of brands whenever I talk to my friends, people in the industry, in a lot of forums. People think the social is a necessary evil, they have to be there, but उसको कैसे use करना है और उसको कैसे measure करें और direct impact on the business, lot of people are still struggling to a certain extent. They know that okay, we've got a certain following, maybe there's some traffic that is coming in, some leads that are coming in, but I don't think there are very few brands actually have a very clear science to measure the real impact on a maybe month on month or a day to day or a weekly basis. So what are the tools that you use, technology tools or the processes that you've created internally? So again maybe Prasoon and Sanket can answer this, or maybe open to Abhishek or Ratik, whoever wants to even come in to tell how they monitor social media on a very regular basis. So clearly measuring the impact is what? How do you measure? That's a single-minded question.
Sure. If I can just add a little bit to that, I can see Abhishek wants to check in. As Sanket was saying, it's important to fix a goal and then go about it. That's true for any scenario. And what I was saying, we both are actually talking about the same thing, approaching from two different directions. To the measurement of KPI, I think it starts from the top. Really, the social media has to be an integral part of your business strategy for social media to really become effective for you. And for that, there has to be a buy-in at the top, right? Because it would need investment, it would need all kind of resources to be pumped behind it, and it would need a little bit of faith for it to work. And it has worked. It has worked across categories. It has, right from revenue generation to lead generation. So if you talk about bottom funnel metrics, it has worked. But it has to start from top. There are many tools available. I think one thing that we have done very quickly is we have automated our dashboards internally. at Magic Bricks, where social media is an integral part of that dashboard. So right from CEO down, everyone who's looking at the dashboard, key performance dashboard of the organization on a daily basis, social media is one of that. Now that itself is a beginning, because that starts seeding the thought of social driving new users to you, social driving traffic to you, social giving you new leads, etc., etc. And over a period of time, then you can present a case for scaling it up and taking it, to a much larger or play a much larger role than what it is playing currently. So yes, Abhishek probably wanted to chip in.
You want to go, Abhishek, or Sanket, whoever?
Yeah, fully agree to what Prasoon just said on it needs to start from the top. I also firmly believe that the kind of platforms on social that you decide to be in, each and every platform needs to have a differentiated strategy. You cannot do a one size fits all across the platforms, even on social media. What you measure and how you measure, I think there are enough tools that are available, but at a very broad level, what everybody, and I think everybody would measure, is obviously the engagement levels of the content in terms of how are people reacting to it, which is more quantitative in nature. Then the second, which is qualitative in nature, is probably a sentiment analysis as to what are the key the conversations around your brand which are happening. One additional point I would like to throw in, or probably which will probably initiate or which will probably have more discussions around it, is you also need to see social media is not just from consumers' point of view. And coming from a business which actually depends a lot on distributors. Life insurance is all about distribution.
Correct.
Most of these distributors are not your employees. They are independent consultants.
Yeah.
So your social media strategy needs to take care of these people also. And probably, actually I would go out and limb and say, sometimes even my strategy is dictated not by the consumer, but by my distributor. Because my distributor is who is actually living the brand and representing the brand in front of the consumer. So one of the tools that one of the metrics that we also use is how is your content being actively used by this fraternity? Because ultimately you can't reach them out on every time basis. Therefore, the social media is a good platform for you to communicate the voice of the brand, voice of the organization to this distributor community. So we use social media from this lens also.
I think Abhishek, you actually made a very, very interesting, and that's where the discussion becomes more interesting, because multiple views come in, and we've never thought it from that point of view. So if you can just elaborate, do you do content addressing the agents or your distributors, as you call them, or would you actually create content and use them to distribute it further, or you actually the content is specifically addressed to them?
So to answer that, I would actually go back at and what does distribute? I will go to the mindset of distributor. What does that distributor want? That distributor wants that I should have all the tools available to me when I'm going and meeting the customers. And one of the things that distributor really wants is that when he or she is representing a financial institution, he or she should appear very knowledgeable in front of the customer. So it is the job of the organization like us to equip this person and provide all the knowledge. So suppose I am talking about one particular product to this distributor community, I need to have all facets of content available with this person so that all the objections can be handled. That is one part. Second part is there are also a lot of qualitative things about businesses in terms of persistency ratio, in terms of claim settlement ratio and everything. The moment you have all this information right there out available on social media, which this person can access whenever they want, they actually, what they do is then they don't show it as it is, same form as you have given it to them. What I have seen it happening is they repurpose this content on their own. So if there's a distributor called ABC Investments, this ABC Investment will repurpose the content under the brand name of ABC Investment, but still talk about the same thing that you want to talking about. Here objective is that I need keep ABC investments, because ABC investments need to look knowledgeable in front of the consumers. So we find social media very useful and cost-effective tool to get this message across to lots of ABC investments.
Great, great. Thank you. Sanket, do you want to add to that or should we move on?
Yeah,
Yeah.
just quickly adding, I think very interesting point Abhishek brought up, and not just distributors who are small distributors, but for example, in insurance, you've got banks, NBFCs, who themselves are fairly big distribution entities. So running co-branded campaigns on social media with the distribution partners are trying to tap the base that they have, because a lot of them, for example, a lot of NBFCs are not really that savvy in terms of tapping their own base on social media. So you help some of your distribution partners realize their own base potential through co-branded campaigns, or maybe leveraging the kind of content that probably they don't have access to. So very pertinent point. I think that's something that is increasingly gaining more prominence nowadays, and a lot more people are inside the organization are focusing on such initiatives, not just B2C, but B2B to C, really.
Okay, great, great. So I would like to move to a slightly different topic from here. Within that, often it is said that content is king, and it is not necessarily only for entertainment industry or advertising, but I am sure it is even more equally true for social media as well. And another terminology which is very popularly used these days is how do we build better mousetraps, better content mousetraps. So it is, so the content on social not only remains on social. Is there a way we can actually, or do we even need to build the content strategy across different platforms, whether it is content on the website, whether it is content when you write blogs, or whether you do your email and mobile marketing automation. So content, do you see a need for all this to be coherent in nature, or there is no such rule? And so essentially, how do we build better mousetraps where customer comes from one platform or one channel, and how do we actually build a web around him so that he doesn't? Obviously, we are all selfish marketers here. So once we acquire a customer, we don't want to leave them, and we want them to be engaged with the brand itself. And social media, while it plays a huge role in it, but is there a way you can actually build mousetraps using all your platforms? So Lakshman has not spoken yet, so maybe I'll bounce this off to Lakshman. Lakshman, do you want to maybe throw in some light on this? How you manage it at your end?
I think Lakshman, you are on mute.
My apologies. Thanks,
Yeah.
Avinash.
Yeah.
See, the customer journey is meaningful today, and no, there's no single way of determining this. But what we have realized at Ujjivan is that one, you give the options to the customer in terms of what is the platform that he or she wants to choose. For example, when COVID happened, we said, no, why not we create digital leaflet? Now, of course, digital leaflet is a standard PDF format. But the way we slightly tweak the entire digital leaflet. When you open the digital leaflet, let's say that you ran through the content. We would have an option saying that, would you like to know more? When you click it, it will take you to the website. Okay. Or if you want to know more about it in the video format, if you click in, it will take you to YouTube. Okay. Or if you want us to follow on social media and see what is the relevant content that is there, you click within the leaflet, within the PDF itself. So we actually started creating interactive platforms there. So the customer had the choice to see, either they could just read through the leaflet, or maybe call the call center, or follow us on social media, or get onto our YouTube platform. And now with the introduction of bots, we want to get them onto that platform. So the idea is that, yes, you will need an integrated content strategy. However, rather than expecting the customer to see, when he or she is likely to visit that particular platform, see if you can feed in a particular set of content that is relevant to them, from time to time to the media that they are consuming today. Which also brings you to the fact that it is important that, for example, today you have a website, you have a social media tool, there is a separate core banking system. You will need to integrate all of them and look at the customer view and see how is the customer behavior evolving or changing. For example, very often we may conclude saying that 18 to 25 years are very high on Instagram, and stories is something that they absorb a lot. But for all I know, they may be interested in a very qualitative blog or an article which is relevant to them. For example, when we did an FD campaign, so you had a customer opening at 10,000 rupees, as well as a customer opening 1 lakh. So the objectives are very different. For a 10,000 rupees customer, opening an FD, it was all about security. Whereas for a 1 lakh customer, it was all about return. So the question is, of course, the fact that FD is a safe and secure investment, the fact is, but the orientation of the customer is one is towards saving and security, one is towards investment. How do you feed relevant information? Which means that the same customer, I would send a link from a website to a blog, from a social media, and tell them, is this relevant to you? So you have to feed the customer with different platform links and see which platform is the customer more attuned to. So it may cut across age group, it may cut across ethnicity, it may also cut across geography. It may also cut across the weekday and the weekend platform. So in some cases, for example, on weekend, I'm at a more leisure pace. I may tend to leave longer content, but during the weekdays, I may go in for a much shorter content. So that's how that's where we are driving at. Saying that how do you look at making the content relevant and topical, and choosing the medium that is more relevant to the consumer.
Avinash, if I can just quickly add something to
Sure.
something similar here. See, real estate is a category where consumer does deep research before he or she takes a decision, right? So consumer journey is slightly long, and large part of that journey is invested in researching well and searching well, right? When you're researching, you are seeking all kinds of content, right? You want to not only know, the actual information about the property and the investment that you want to make. You want to look at the returns. You want to do a whole lot of research around the investment itself, and various channels of investment, other options of investment, and so on and so forth. So there's deep research that happens, and we have seen that a variety of content, the point that you were making earlier, right? Should one create a bouquet of different kind of content and really provide to consumers? That actually we have seen in our experience, that's something that works, because it gives consumers what they're looking for under one roof, in a single platform. And therefore bringing the convenience of not going through multiple platforms and multiple sources to look for information, etc. Second is the in-depth information, research, data, etc. dovetailed into it helps a consumer take better decision. And so it's very, very useful and meaningful. And these things have helped us, we have right from blogs to videos to, all kind of light-hearted content as well. And a combination of all of this has helped us improve the frequency of that consumer visit onto the platform. So the repeat visit of the consumer has improved because of content. The time spent on the platform has improved because of the content, and so on and so forth. These are some of the important metrics anyway. That we clearly see content being able to drive it directly without support. It's very important.
Avinash, I want to add.
Sure, Atik, please go ahead.
Yeah, so basically nowadays what I'm watching on all social media channels, that it's been now totally artificial intelligence driven platforms. If you're constantly posting a single kind of content, like a single image, or if you're posting some different image, or your format of posting is only image, then also your engagement rate gets decreases. So at the end of the day, whatever content you are making, it should be multiple adapts. It should be GIF, it should be video, it should be JPEG, or sometimes it will be a small video, something like that. Because nowadays, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, all those are being used by millennials as well as senior citizens as well. So Facebook knows the adapt and the mentality. Twitter knows the adapt and the mentality of a user. What kind of content he's driving. If he's more focusing on videos, or if he's more focusing on images, the relevancy of the content what he's going to have in front of his screen is only related to image or only related to videos only. So being in any kind of brand, whether it is a real estate brand or an FMCG brand, you must have been watching all the bigger brands have been degrading themselves and upgrading themselves and adopting the different adapts, whether it will be a video, whether it will be. So the artificial intelligence of all these platforms, the algorithm, what actually works in the back end, which usually helps the brand to get more engagement and to reach out organically vast rather than a paid vastings. So nowadays, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, in fact, I'll give you a recent example of my grandmother. My grandmother used to watch Mahakal Ka Darshan on YouTube. So she's more focusing in getting all the relevant related to the content of that particular only, of that particular feeds only. So these social channels are very smart to adapt your habits. So you need to change the adapts of habits. Like if I'm going to say any kind of one content, at the end of the day, you're going to have a multiple blast of that content entire news feeds. So you need to have different adapts. You need to have some kind of videos or JPEGs or GIFs. So this is something, a very content-driven strategy you need to use in your social platforms.
Thank you.
But I've been watching it out.
Yeah, sure. I think one important common thread that I see in the comment that Abhishek made, Prasoon, you and Lakshman, I think we need to adapt to the kind of platform. What goes on Facebook might not necessarily go on Instagram and might not necessarily go on LinkedIn or on YouTube, and you'll have to have a platform specific content. And one interesting content, I'm maybe smiling a little bit because 10 years ago when I was in advertising, we always used to have a very big focus, and our biggest script was our standardization, and our common suggestion to our clients would always be, whenever you're doing a print ad, whenever you're doing, there has to be a standardized template. आप एक ही जैसा रखो, so that it will become a reminder over a period of time, that will become your signature. But times have changed in such a way, like, and I completely agree with you, Ratik, because we do this on a regular basis. You need to adapt and be nimble, and every content needs to look different, especially on social media, because the moment you see one single, you go onto a feed and everything looks same, staccato. Obviously, maybe I like the first image, I might maybe interact with the second, but the third and the fourth and the fifth automatically, when I see it looks the same, then I maybe lose that interest from the consumer. So I mean, this is the changing times of videos, and obviously we have to adapt with times. But yes, I've been guilty of suggesting about standardization, and here we are talking about how we need to really change every piece of communication that we're going. So very interesting. Thank you. So we'll move on to the next one, and I'll maybe give this to Ratik again. See, now we realize, I mean, social media is being mostly driven by the top. Everybody understands the importance of social. The smallest or the biggest of the brands, everybody is on social. But I still feel somewhere that it is still being seen as the baby of the marketing team. Whether it is marketing team, some people might have been the digital team, or maybe like in your case, Ratik, you're a social media specialist in the entire organization. I still see the fact that people think it is the marketing team's job or whoever is doing it. Because in spite of being such a big driver of your business, there is not a culture of people across organization, across functions, whether it is your web development team, whether it is your product team, or whether it is your customer care team. Everybody can pitch in, because the content will actually derive from it, because essentially we are in the business of understanding consumer behavior and giving them as marketers. But the product team knows better of what the product or customer wants. So there are a lot of things that we can feed into it, but they don't see it as that. So do you struggle with this? And if yes, how do you manage to build a culture in your organization where people across functions actually think social and contribute in trying to create a more coherent strategy on social?
See, so you have raised a very good question, that we have multiple products and multiple inheritance being required from different product managers as well. So what kind of structure we are using in our organization is something very similar to एक छोटे बच्चे को 3 बजे ट्यूशन जाना है, 4 बजे उसकी मम्मी पिक करने आएगी, फिर 5 o'clock आएंगे उसके फादर, और 5:30 के बाद फादर क्लब जाएंगे. So same we follow the pattern. Whenever new product is coming, we are putting it up on the social media channels with different adapts, different strategies with respect to different product managers. So eventually we are coming up with new products on a daily basis. So this is a very generic thing for us to take care of all these things. But we have a very common thing in all the structures. The communication, what we are sending it to the customer, whether it is related to a new product or a buying product or an existing product, we used to adapt an omni-channel marketing structure. We don't want to spam our customers. At the end of the day, nowadays, what maximum we are watching is spamming the customers, actually making them irritate, right? So we don't want to spam the customers in a daytime or odd time. So we have a predefined strategy of respective products. Like IPO आ रहा है, तो IPO के time हम IPO की ही बात करेंगे. हम उस time लाके tax saving की बात नहीं करेंगे. So it actually gives my product managers as well a breathing space कि yes, मेरा एक product आ रहा है, उसकी strategy पूरी define करने के लिए मुझे एक particular breathing space भी मिलता है और एक time भी मिलता है, जिसके कारण मेरा engagement rate और performance increase होता है. फॉलोवर काउंट मेरा इंक्रीज होता है, लोगों के क्वेश्चंस आते हैं, मेरा रेपुटेशन मैनेजमेंट इंक्रीज होता है, सेंटिमेंट चेंज होते हैं. सो वी इन द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन वी आर बीइंग रिस्ट्रिक्टेड टू द टाइम. अभी टैक्स सेविंग आ जाएगा तो my more focusing will be on tax saving part of thing. मैं अभी tax
No, I
saving के
think
बारे में
sorry to cut you, Ratik. My question is slightly different. It's not about
Okay.
depending on what product you're launching. It is more about, do other teams contribute? Is there a culture of where
Yes.
it is being seen, and how do you do that? Because I know for a fact, and again I derive from my own personal journey, whether it is Thomas Cook or my earlier organization. Many a times it is seen as अरे वो social media वाला बंदा ना वो कर लेगा, whatever, उसका ही काम है, मेरा नहीं है. Product वाला product दे देगा, वो दे देगा. So how do you build the culture in the organization where because it's such a big facet these days. It's not like one small aspect. I mean, campaigns are being launched on social first before they are being launched anywhere else. So how do you bring that culture that even the customer care thinks about how I can put my best foot forward when I get a complaint on social? And we'll come to the ORM also a little later. But I'm saying essentially, do you see that in your organization? Because I personally feel that there is this lack of ownership outside the marketing team to a certain extent, or whoever manages social.
See, so that's what I was trying to explain you very clearly. So at the end of the day, our product manager are being pre-derived. They know that they have to help me out to reach out to the audience of the maximum, because the targeting audience, the targeting structure have been defined by them only. So in our organization, we have a very good culture over putting up the product manager, reaching out to me with an objective that I want to run this kind of campaign. So as of now, I'm not struggling it out to be in touch with them and onboard their product to social media channels. But yes, I have some few suggestions to them as well to have a specific channel. Like NPS will definitely work on platforms like LinkedIn and Twitter only, not going to work on Facebook. So the ownership has been actually coming from the product managers as well. कि यार मेरा NPS का product है तो आप इसको LinkedIn पे focus करो, where I can find out the corporates as well. So the structure, objectives and the learning of the curve related to the product managers are actually helping me out as well to define the pre-strategies as well.
Okay, great.
So ये
Anybody else?
maintain
Yeah.
है.
Sorry.
Avinash,
Yeah.
I would want to infuse a dose of reality here a little bit. I think you are correct. Social media is considered marketing's baby. And within marketing also, it's considered that one separate thing that one needs to do. I don't think across organizations you would find social media very well integrated even within the marketing strategy. Forget the overall company or business strategy, right? Yes, the challenge is that there is a product team which is responsible for, say, traffic generation or footfall generation and so on and so forth. Then there is a customer service team which is responsible for grievance management, ORM, and everything else related to that. And then there are business teams who want to use the channel for revenue generation or lead generation and so on and so forth. So there are various functions, departments with different kinds of objectives, and they all of them look at social from different lenses, different perspectives, and it's a challenging job for a marketeer or a social media marketeer to really then satisfy everyone and kind of. So it often, I have seen in my experience, it often therefore gets relegated as another tick box, tick mark on the box that needs to be done. Yes, something on social media also done, and not really very well thought or integrated within the overall strategy of a GTM of a product launch or any other initiative that might be having. Reality is that, right? Now, can this change? Yes, of course, it can change, right? So again, a lot of functions carry almost common targets, right? So in any online business, for example, traffic is a target of product team as well as a marketing team, right? So a common target can very well bring together teams and help them, work together, forget silos, forget the cross-functional rivalries, and become one. Again, as I said in the beginning, it all starts from top. If the mandate is from top to use a particular platform in an integrated fashion, organization follows that. But if it is left to a marketeer or a product head or a social media marketeer to make that effort, it may or may not result in what you're trying to do.
Fair enough. So essentially, you're saying it make it part of the KPI itself of organization, so that it's a joint target owned by everyone else. Then it will not be seen as a marketing wala kar lega kind of this thing. Fair enough. So moving on, I think we are running a little tight on time. We've got about 15 minutes, and we might have to at least keep 5 minutes for Q&A. So I'll maybe keep the fifth and sixth question. I have two more questions, and we'll try to keep it brief. Social is much more beyond engagement and all the objectives that we spoke about again. can some of you speak about any real life examples of how you've used social, and whether it is insights from social, or whether it is some data that you've got from social, to maybe introduce a new product, or maybe improve your customer service experience? So essentially, how you've used it. So it goes beyond a communication platform, and how you've used maybe data or insights from there to do something which usually won't happen. Because as I said, campaigns are launched on social first, because obviously people are gathering data and insights from there itself. So would you mind talking about some examples, and whether it is Prasoon, Abhishek, anybody? Abhishek, you want to give it a stab?
Yeah. So other normal usage of social media, there are two instant uses that come to my mind, which we have effectively, in fact, one is going on right now for us. It's a real use case where we are currently having our TV campaign, which is going on. There's one creative that is running. We have two more sets of creatives, but unfortunately, we have money only to run one more. Now,
We all struggle with that. Everybody struggles with that.
So
Yeah.
from that,
Yeah. By the way,
love,
it's quite a nice one. I actually saw it yesterday, and it's quite an interesting one. It's about reminding, right? You will always find excuses and you remind. Yeah.
Thanks.
So maybe it'll be nice if you can talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah. So now we have two more creatives ready with us, and I was telling that money for only one. If I look at from the creators' love, I would love to run both of them, and if given the hard task of choosing one out of them, I cannot choose. So we are actually letting our viewers decide it for us on social media. So currently we are running it on a couple of social media channels, those two, kind of what you call as an A/B testing.
Yeah.
Figure out which works well, and that will then go to TV.
No, so I don't know, did that campaign originate out of some data or insights, or some observations out of social?
So actually, it's like a broken record. I earlier also talked about distributor community. What we realized is one of the main reasons, and people, the distributors face 2-3 main rejection reasons from customers. One is ya to time nahi hai, kal aao, which is procrastination, or people saying that mere paas hai insurance, but
या फिर मुझे जरूरत नहीं है.
In fact, all of us in panel, I can rest assured, including Sanket and me, we both are in insurance industry. We would be underinsured right now. That is a
yeah. I agree. Yeah.
So that is so underinsurance is the second part, and the third part is various bahane. कि कल बात करते हैं या this thing. So these were the main reasons, and we did a survey amongst our advisors. And these were the 3 main reasons that people were saying, and said it's time to address those. But this campaign is, while yes, it is in the viewer space right now where it is available to see everyone, we are actually talking to the distributor community and saying that we understand what you go through, but we also salute you for the responsibility that you have taken of protecting people.
Great. Anybody else want to give any examples of how you use social and maybe a product launch or anything, whether improved customer experience, basically used it more than a communication platform?
I will just quickly want to talk about insight mining from social, and how that probably can get into creation of a new product, or even a campaign, right? So I'll start with the campaign first. Again, during COVID, social media listening told us that a whole lot of consumers, because they were confined in their homes 24/7 during the lockdown phase, all of them were talking about, अरे यार मेरे घर में ये भी है, मैंने देखा नहीं था. I have, because you hardly stay at home otherwise. You are 10 hours, you are outside of home, and you are home is like a hotel. You are coming to, kind of spend the night, almost, right? So a lot of people started looking at their home very, very closely, or wherever they were staying, right? And they started identifying the needs. They started identifying, oh, I wish I had invested in a home with bigger balcony or one extra room so that I could have worked from home. I could have converted that into my office, and all those kind of things, right? These are very, very real insights that were coming out. Okay.
Correct.
So we saw all of that, we listened to all of that, and we quickly converted that into social media, into a proper digital campaign, we created a film. Again, it was a crowdsourced film because we were all under lockdown. We couldn't have produced it otherwise. So it was a crowdsourced film. The film was based on the theme "Ghar pe reh ke ghar ko dekha." Right, and it just played on the emotion of staying in a home and then attachment with the home that was growing kind of every day, and the closeness that you were feeling, and thereby highlighting the need for upgradation, or looking for a newer home and so on and so forth, just to become a selfish marketeer there, right? So this was one instance where social media listening allowed us to create a new narrative, a new conversation with consumers. Another quick example that comes to my mind is about 3 years ago, there was a lot of social media listening that when we were doing social media listening, we heard consumers saying that in real estate, typically in property, when you're investing, you have to do these mandatory weekend visits, site visits, as it is called. You go to one project, then from one project to another project, you keep seeing sample flats, sample projects, and before you take a decision as to which one to zero in on. Now, all that requires a lot of energy and resource. You have to block your weekend, you have to run around, and so on and so forth, right? Now, that was one of the pain points that was coming out. And that was again, our social media listening tool that highlighted that pain point of consumers. We again quickly ideated and converted that into a product proposition, right? So we launched a product which took the site visits virtual. Now, it was much before COVID, okay, and before its age, therefore, to an extent. During COVID, everyone moved online, and therefore a whole lot of these things started happening online. But this was much before COVID. So these are some two examples where I can clearly see social media listening, how it helped us create new narratives, new products, and kind of go to consumers.
Thank you. Great example. I think I love the "Ghar pe reh ke ghar ko dekhna," because I know there were so many people, even celebs to a certain extent, saying, "Arey mujhe pata nahi tha mere ghar mein dhoop bhi aati hai." I realized, I saw that there are so many birds chirping around my home. We never noticed. So we've gone through all this, and it's interesting how you've used it to create a new narrative, as you said. So we are almost on the verge of ending the session. My last question, and we briefly hinted about this earlier, is, and this to a great extent keeps us awake at nights, is the kind of complaints, or because it's such an open platform. While there are so many advantages of it, but it also becomes very, very easy for consumers to complain. And most times I've also seen, and this is again natural consumer behavior, when I'm happy, I actually don't write back. But when I'm upset, I think the first thing that I do, and customers have learned over a period of time, that the easiest way to get a response from a brand is to write and go, complain on Twitter or tag them on Facebook and whatever. So so how do you handle negativity on social? Because it's so easy to complain, and it becomes so difficult to get something positive out of consumer. You have to work 10 times harder to get one positive comment versus one small thing goes wrong. And in our case, even if like when we send a ticket which is a day later, people will start complaining. It is so easy because it is so easy to complain, and people know that it's the fastest way of getting a response. So how do you manage the ORM, and how do you try and keep the positive sentiment up? And that is all the ORM is all about. That how do we keep the negativity down and bring the positivity up? So can you give us some examples of this? And I mean, probably if Ratik want to talk about it, or whether it is Lakshman, anything to give a completely different perspective of how do you manage ORM? Because I'm sure Ratik also deals with this, since he heads social media for HDFC. He deals with this on an ongoing basis.
So we have onboarded.
In case
Sorry.
Sorry, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Okay. Please go ahead, sir.
So see, what we have realized in our experience is that one, you need to speak to the customer, and first understand what is the problem statement. More often than why has customer taken to social media? Because maybe he or she has not found the opportunity if someone is willing to listen to and understand what the problem statement is. I think that is why we have realized, and to a great extent, one is we speak to the customer immediately, understand what the problem statement is. One, wherever you are wrong, have the courage to stand up and admit that yes, there has been a mistake and we will correct. I think 99% of the time the customer understands and is willing to give you the time and the space to resolve the issue. It is only when you continue to ignore the customer is when the escalation happens. So in our and what very often goes more than, I mean, if the depending on the kind of problem or the issue the customer is facing, we have escalation mechanisms. For example, if we strongly feel that it needs to be addressed back to the branch immediately and someone needs to be connected, we do that immediately. In some cases where there's a phone call that has to happen, maybe even from, let's say, product team, or maybe from someone from customer service or a legal or a compliance to get them into a conference call and do it, we do it. So the idea is to whether you are able to categorize and address the issue on priority. It's only when, or if you don't have a resolution, let's say that the problem is such that you need time to understand the crux of the problem. You ask the customer upfront and tell them that you need so much time to address the issue. So we realize that where your customer may not agree to some issue, but if you're transparent about it and you state that this is the time it will take and this is the issue and this is how we would like to handle it, I think 99% of the time we have realized that the customer is very, very understanding and cooperative, and they feel yes, there's a genuine reason why they could not address it. And wherever there's genuinely a fault from the bank, I think we should be honest, open, and admit yes, there has been a slip up, and we will correct it.
Great. So essentially, you're saying let's be honest about it and authentic, completely honest, and then consumers to a certain extent, which is fair, which is absolutely fair. I think you want to quickly add. We have about 2 odd minutes,
Yes,
then we'll have
yes.
about only 3-4 minutes to take consumer
So
questions.
Lakshman has made a very valid point that transparency of resolving the complaint should be very well taken care of. And eventually, one thing you need to take care of, very important thing, which is you need to have a proper bucketing of your complaints. What kind of complaints you're getting, whether it's related to some kind of an escalations or related to some kind of an service providing problems or branch manager problem or branch problem. So you need to have a proper categorization, and mainly the brand will be successful if your response time is less than 5 minutes, but it should not be from the bot. It should be a manual person who is taking care of the ORM from your organization. So once you're having because एक Indian का mentality बहुत छोटा सा है, वो हमेशा यही बोलता है कि आपका brand हमको जवाब नहीं दे रहा, आपका bot हमको जवाब दे रहा है. So that thing has to be removing from any brand. So for most important thing for me to take care of SDFC, that I have a very strict team and a very timeline team we are doing. हमारा एक जवाब आपको 10 मिनट में मिलेगा. We have a strict guidelines. We have 24/7 because हमारा मार्केट सुबह 9:15 बजे ओपन होता है और हमारे पास सुबह 7:45 से क्वेरीज आना स्टार्ट हो जाती है. So a proper bucketing of your complaints, a proper response time, a transparency, and moreover an educative customer care. Because user का problem customer care को समझना है बहुत अच्छे से, and an educative ORM specialist as well. So if we have a combination of all these things plus a better tool, will make your job easy for the ORM. So I would suggest you for some 2-3 ORM tools which you're using earlier. One is Hootsuite, which is something related to analytics and everything. Nowadays, the software is in Buzz, named Locobuzz. Locobuzz is doing a very prominent job over here. So we are using Locobuzz with us right now. So Locobuzz will be a software which actually.
But Locobuzz is largely for sentiment analysis, right? But Locobuzz is largely for sentiment analysis.
So Locobuzz has been changed the entire structure now. Now they are coming up with the ticket closers and ticket tags as well. So.
Okay,
so the
understood.
So the listening is much lower than the categorization of tickets now. So Locobuzz is being prominent in handling the tickets because they have given different buckets to you, to your customer care, in fact, to the users as well. This ticket is under open category, under pending category. So we are using Locobuzz. So apart from that, you need to have all these 4-5 kind of mixtures. Then only
you were saying something for the benefit of your viewers. So you said Hootsuite, Locobuzz, and there was third one you mentioned. You said I mentioned
Hootsuite and Locobuzz. So I would recommend Locobuzz. I would recommend Locobuzz to make because it gives you a liberty to have multiple number of agents. It's been directly connected to your CRM as well. A resolution of complaint, a proper resolution, a response, a canned response to the customers, or an automated response. It's an ocean. You can manage your entire social media from that particular tool.
Okay, understood. Thank you. Thanks, Ratik. I'm going to cut you short there. We have just 2 minutes left. So if you can, Bhavna, coming back to you, if you can help us with consumer questions, if there are any, we will quickly understand them.
Absolutely. So Avinash, just give me a moment. I'm going to be requesting our team to share the questions with me. There is one question absolutely from the audience as well. So if I could just request, okay, it's right here.
Yeah, it's there. I'll take it up.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Kindly put some light on engaging and getting leads in businesses from semi-urban and rural India. as a lot of brands are struggling in that aspect. It's challenging, but easy to target urban net savvy audience. People are still expecting brands to reach them in person. A lot of people are using button phones till now. Okay, although that is changing fast, but apart from FB, WhatsApp, and YouTube, there are hardly any accessible through mobile. So TV is still the only media, and it is expensive. So essentially, I think if I'm understanding the question right, how do you reach out to rural audience who might not be necessarily smartphone audience? And but the I don't know. I don't see a name of the person who was asked. But the panel discussion was about social. So if there are any comments that I can get in from anybody would like to answer this, if they how do you go beyond the urban audience? I don't know. Maybe I'm assuming Lakshman does a lot of work beyond the urban India.
So Avinash, the best option that we have seen is missed call so far. For a customer who doesn't have a smartphone, if you want to know something, you just get a missed call, and you'll either get someone to call on you, or it could be an IVR page which will say, no, if you want to know more about that particular product, press 1. No, if you want to open a relationship, press 2. If you want, same thing, 1 missed call. Second is increasingly QR codes are getting popular. So while the standard phone, feature phone doesn't offer that, but there is someone in the friends or family, who might have a smartphone. You could later on get them to just see what this QR code is, and it could give you an option, whether you want to read, whether you want to see a video, you want to just connect with someone, a customer care. So the idea is again, give the freedom to the customer to choose the tool. So in this case of the feature phone, missed call is the fastest and the best way. If not anything, they can at least store the number and later on connect.
So sorry, just for the benefit of understanding of viewers, when you say missed call, you give, are these recorded calls or these are just missed calls given by whom? Is there a system or a tool that you use to just give a missed call? How would I know that what call I have missed?
So let's say that I'm in a rural area and I happen to see a wall painting. It talks something about sale. Bachao, bachat karo, kuch to karo. And
okay. So you say as a call to action, you put a number where you give a missed call.
Correct.
Okay. Understood. So it's more of a response mechanism. I think the question was, how do you get leads via for people, somebody? So essentially you're using wall painting as a medium and using missed call as a mechanism to get that lead in. Fair enough. It's one way to do it. I mean, and wall painting is probably the most archaic way of doing it, but I think it still works for rural India. Is what I'm guessing.
Avinash, today OTT platforms, some of the OTT platforms reach to different corners of the country. And, you can make customizable content to suit any kind of handset, any kind of device, any kind of operating system, and any kind of internet connectivity. So whether a consumer is on 2G, 3G, 4G, or whatever, whether consumer is using a feature phone or using a basic smartphone or an advanced smartphone, and how savvy the consumer is, you can customize your content. I think OTT platforms are doing it really well. Some of the players like MX Player and all, their reach in tier 3, tier 4 towns and beyond is humongous. So there's always a way to do that, and brands would need to obviously understand and invest in that. But to answer the question that the gentleman has asked very specifically, it is possible to use social media channels as well, or social media content as well, to reach out to audiences in rural tier 3, tier 4.
Thank you, Prasoon. I think I'll have to end this abruptly here because we've already overshot by a couple of minutes. So thank you, Prasoon, Ratik, Lakshman, Abhishek, Sanket, for an engaging discussion. I personally got to learn some more new things during it, and I'm assuming our viewers also got to learn from it. So thank you, and over back to you, Bhavna.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Avinash. Firstly, perfect moderation right there, spoken on all elements on the topic. So thank you so much for that. And we really value all the expertise of our eminent panelists. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.